Hartman, Vice President of Business Development for Cardio Sport, and I'm here today with two people. This is Martyn Hollands from Liverpool International Academy. He's the CEO of the company, and this is Duffy. He's the founder and creator of Cardio Sport. And we're going to be talking to you today briefly about why our program is so unique and so impactful for soccer athletes in particular, but all athletes. But today we're talking about soccer athletes. Martyn is a partner of ours. His organization has partnered with us. They've been training with us for the past year, Martyn?
Yeah, for last year.
Last year, and we're progressing that partnership to the next level and really working with the entire organization to improve their athletes' overall athletic performance. So today we're going to be really focusing on understanding why Martyn feels there's a lot of value and benefit to adding this program in for his athletes, and then to John about what specifically is it related to cardio sport that's so impactful for soccer players. So I'm going to start with Martyn.
Yep.
Why don't you tell us a little bit about why you chose to work with cardio sport over other training methodologies out there?
Well, cross-training for our players is really important. And the cardio sports method just encompasses everything that we wanted within a program, from the agility to the endurance to the speed of thought that's required for the game of soccer.
Right, so the speed of thought, so the way the player processes decision making.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
You see that impact in how we train, and it's unique to our program.
And unique to your program and the way it's produced under a slightly pressured environment.
Right. And I remember when we first spoke, the first thing you said to me is like, how do we get that footwork?
Yep.
Right? You were pretty impressed with the footwork because you do get extraordinary credit for this program. So I'm going to kick it over to John. John, since you've created it and you've developed this program, I know we train all sorts of athletes. We're in one of our studios right now in Kingston, Massachusetts. We train everything from football to baseball to lacrosse, everything. But soccer is obviously an extraordinary sport to train with, so we train a ton of soccer players in Martyn's organization. So can you just tell everyone why cardio sport is so different from an athletic training perspective, and then how it specifically relates to soccer players? That's a lot.
Sure, that's a big question. I'll try to answer it in a short period of time. The underlying foundation of cardio sport is to put an athlete into what's known as competitive athletic simulation, or CAS. So where traditional strength, resistance training, power training, agility training in athletic performance is typically broken off from the actual sport that an athlete would play, cardio sport creates that strategy within the simulation of the particular game or sport that they're playing. So I believe that in order to maximize decision making and athletic intelligence on the surface, on the competitive surface, that you need to keep the athletes within a simulated environment of what they're going to be facing in a competitive contest, as opposed to breaking up the strength part of it, the agility part of it, whereas that becomes the activity. So in cardio sport, we infuse the exercise strategy or the conditioning strategy within the simulation of their sport, which directly relates, I believe, to a response when they're in the competitive environment, unparalleled compared to if you take a typical resistance training movement like a deadlift or a push-up, clean and press, and you just isolate that as kind of a strength training activity. There is no real direct correlation to what that athlete will see unfold in front of them in a competitive playing surface like soccer or hockey, you name it.
Right.
You know, so particularly in the soccer realm, the sport of soccer is so much more of a psychological difference. So, you know, all competitors need to be fit and ready to stay within the stamina and endurance of a contest. But what's going to really separate the difference at an elite level is their decision making. So where there's so much precision in decision making in the sport of soccer compared to other sports, usually at an elite level, the difference between the two teams or the cohesiveness of the two teams, it's ultimately going to be about who made more decisions correctly versus who's outskilling, you know, who has more skill than the next. As you rise with the level of ability, it's going to be instrumental. Your athletic intelligence, which is what cardio sports foundation is built off of, is going to be what's instrumental to that success, not the ability to shoot, to pass, to distribute, you know. And that's what the foundation of all of our training. So it's always about putting the athlete into a simulated competitive environment for their sport, and then we take care of the exercise strategy, be it resistance, agility, coordination, we infuse that into the movement.
And that's where the two programs dovetail so well, because as soccer coaches and as a club, we want to take our players to the point where it breaks down. We want to challenge them and feel comfortable that it's okay for it to break down, for it to go wrong. And the cardio sports method takes them to those limits.
Right, it takes them to capacity. So we talk a lot here about the best players being able to see clearly through organized chaos, like in a game, right? And have the ability to retain their high-level decision-making skills even though they're fatigued and under duress. So what we're constantly training for, and John certainly inject, is to train our athletes to be the second half players, to play the whole game well, and basically get better as they continue to fatigue and keep their decision-making process intact. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think where an organization like Liverpool and cardio sport integrates so effectively is that, you know, Liverpool will provide that high level of technical training and the ability to mold that player from a soccer perspective.
Right.
And a skill set where cardio sport will then condition both psychologically and physically to complement the technical skill sets that organization's bringing to the table.
Right.
So when you put the two things together, you will see a noticeable difference in the quality of the player comprehensively, as opposed to just being one-dimensional strength.
Right. So we always talk about, you know, it's our job as the trainers to create the athletic foundation that your expertise then sculpts and molds the specific athlete from, the skills and all of those types of things necessary specific to soccer players.
Yep.
So I think the synergy from these two organizations has been tremendous. And we tested it starting last year where we did some work with you guys, and it's just blossomed and blossomed and blossomed. And I think the other big benefit, besides all the great physical and mental benefits from training that your athletes get with us, is that, mark me if I'm wrong, but the kids love it. Yeah, they love it. So they ask for cardio sport. So as a parent, bring your child to something that's additional above and beyond what you've already committed to have them want to go and want to be there and know that they're going to be giving their 100% while they're there because they're excited for it is a huge advantage, right? Yeah.
Well, it's an extension of the love of the sport, right? The love of the game.
It feels like they're playing.
As a coach and as a soccer coach, a soccer developer, you're going to have a very difficult time trying to develop a player that doesn't love the game.
Right.
And so we take that same philosophy of the love of the game and infuse it into the exercise strategy. So cardio sport becomes more of a love of training than it does just I have to train, I have to get in that type of field conditioning.
And to that point, my teams are already asking for training for this winter.
Yeah.
And that's how it gets done. All right, so that's really it today. We're going to keep it brief, keep it short. Say thank you to Martyn, thank you to John for joining us. And just, you guys can click below on the link and see what the training options are for you. And then you'll be receiving this video in a newsletter as well if you're on the Liverpool team regarding your training options. But essentially, we run classes in this studio, in our Kingston studio, Weymouth studio, multiple times a week for all athletes to participate in. And there's more information below. Thanks again for joining. Take care.